It began with a single line in a neuroscience journal that stunned the scientific world. Controlled breathing can deactivate the brain's anxiety center in less than 60 seconds. When Dr. Evan Lira, a neuroscientist from Stanford, read those words, he didn't believe them until he saw what happened in his lab. A patient who had suffered from chronic panic attacks for years was connected to brain monitors. Within 1 minute of following a specific breathing rhythm, her amygdala, the brain's fear center, began to quiet. Her heart rate dropped, her muscles relaxed, and her brain waves shifted into a state of calm rarely seen without medication. Dr. Lira realized something profound. The key to emotional control had been right under our noses all along. Literally. For thousands of years, monks, yogis, and healers have spoken of the breath as the bridge between body and spirit. But now science was proving what the ancients already knew. We live in a world that glorifies speed, distraction, and endless stimulation, and it's quietly suffocating our peace. But a new discovery in neuroscience is revealing that with one simple daily practice, you can rewire your anxious brain in just 7 days. Anxiety has become the silent epidemic of the modern world. It hides behind polite smiles, busy schedules, and endless scrolling through glowing screens. Every day, millions wake up already tired, their hearts racing before they've even checked their phones. They feel a constant undercurrent of unease, that something is wrong, though they can't name what it is. We call it stress, burnout, overthinking. But beneath those words lies one truth. Our minds have forgotten how to rest. We live in an age of hyperstimulation. Notifications, deadlines, and social pressures have hijacked our nervous systems. The body evolved to face a tiger once in a while. Now, it faces invisible tigers every minute. The same biological alarm that once saved our ancestors is now constantly ringing, triggered not by predators but by emails, news headlines, and self-doubt. The result? A brain stuck in survival mode. And we try to fix it the wrong way. We numb ourselves with entertainment, caffeine, or pills that promise peace but never deliver it. We tell ourselves to think positive, but you can't outthink biology. Because anxiety doesn't start in your thoughts. It starts in your breath. Until we change the way we breathe, we'll keep repeating the same panic loop, no matter how hard we fight it. To understand anxiety, we must enter the battlefield of the brain, a place where millions of signals fight for control every second. At the heart of this war is a small, almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. This tiny organ is your built-in alarm system, designed to detect danger and flood your body with energy to survive. When a car swerves toward you, or a dog lunges unexpectedly, the amygdala fires instantly, releasing adrenaline and cortisol, preparing you to fight, flee, or freeze. But in the anxious brain, this alarm system is broken. It keeps ringing even when there's no danger. The amygdala becomes hypersensitive, overreacting to simple things. A message tone, a social situation, a single negative thought. And every time it fires, your breathing changes. It becomes shallow, rapid, and irregular. This pattern signals to the brain that you are in danger, creating a vicious feedback loop. Anxiety alters your breath, and your breath reinforces anxiety. Over time, this loop rewires your brain. The prefrontal cortex, the rational part that makes decisions, loses its grip. The body remains flooded with stress hormones, heart rate spikes, digestion slows, and sleep becomes fragmented. You start living in constant fight or flight, a prisoner of your own biology. The most tragic part? You're not actually unsafe. Your brain just forgot how to breathe calmly. and it's drowning in false alarms. There is one function in the human body that stands between chaos and control: the breath. Unlike your heartbeat or digestion, breathing is both automatic and voluntary. You can let it happen on its own, or you can take control of it at any moment. That single fact makes breath the only doorway between your conscious mind and your unconscious body. It's the bridge between what you can control and what controls you. Ancient traditions have known this secret for thousands of years. Yogic masters in India called it pranayama, the science of extending the life force through breath. Chinese sages referred to it as qi gong, cultivating inner energy through mindful breathing. Even early Christian mystics and Tibetan monks used rhythmic breathing as a path to divine stillness. They all discovered in their own way that the breath is not just air. It's a code, a rhythm that programs the body's chemistry and the mind's emotions. Modern life, however, has taught us to breathe shallowly, high in the chest, as if we're constantly running from something. This unnatural pattern keeps the body trapped in alertness, but when you breathe deeply and rhythmically, you send a powerful signal to your nervous system: I am safe. With each slow exhale, your brain begins to unlearn fear. The breath becomes your medicine, ancient, free, and always within reach. There is one function in the human body that stands between chaos and control: the breath. Unlike your heartbeat or digestion, breathing is both automatic and voluntary. You can let it happen on its own, or you can take control of it at any moment. That single fact makes breath the only doorway between your conscious mind and your unconscious body. It's the bridge between what you can control and what controls you. Ancient traditions have known the secret for thousands of years. Yogic masters in India called it pranayama, the science of extending the life force through breath. Chinese sages referred to it as qi gong, cultivating inner energy through mindful breathing. Even early Christian mystics and Tibetan monks used rhythmic breathing as a path to divine stillness. They all discovered, in their own way, that the breath is not just air. It's a code, a rhythm that programs the body's chemistry and the mind's emotions. Modern life, however, has taught us to breathe shallowly, high in the chest, as if we're constantly running from something. This unnatural pattern keeps the body trapped in alertness, but when you breathe deeply and rhythmically, you send a powerful signal to your nervous system: I am safe. With each slow exhale, your brain begins to unlearn fear. The breath becomes your medicine, ancient, free, and always within reach. For centuries, humanity has been split between two worlds: the scientific and the spiritual. One seeks evidence, the other seeks experience. Yet when it comes to the breath, these two paths meet perfectly. Modern neuroscience now confirms what sages have practiced for millennia. The breath is the meeting point of body, mind, and spirit. In ancient yogic texts, like the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, breath was described as the vehicle of the mind. Control the breath, and you control consciousness itself. In Buddhism, monks used anapanasati, the mindfulness of breathing, as a doorway to enlightenment. In Taoist philosophy, breath carried qi, the universal life energy that nourishes all things. These weren't just metaphors. They were observations of an inner reality long before machines could measure it. Today, neuroscientists describe the same process in biological terms. When you breathe slowly, you stimulate the vagus nerve, a vast network connecting your brain to every major organ. This activation triggers the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's rest and repair mode. Heart rate slows, blood pressure drops, cortisol levels fall, the brain rebalances. In essence, what ancient masters called energy flow is what modern scientists call neural regulation. Dr. Lira himself admitted that after his discoveries, he began studying ancient breathing rituals, realizing they were sophisticated neurological tools disguised in spiritual language. Science was catching up to spirituality, not disproving it. Both were pointing to the same truth: that peace isn't something you find outside of yourself. It's something you breathe into existence, one mindful inhale at a time. Now that you understand the science and the philosophy, it's time to experience the transformation yourself. What follows is Dr. Lira's 7-day neurobreath protocol, a method proven to retrain your brain's anxiety response and restore deep calm. The technique is simple, but its power lies in consistency and attention. Treat this not as an exercise, but as a daily ritual of returning to yourself. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Sit upright with your back straight, shoulders relaxed, and hands resting on your thighs. Close your eyes. Before you begin, take one natural breath in and one slow exhale. Feel the air enter your lungs and leave your body. That's your reminder. Peace begins the moment you pay attention. Now begin the rhythm. Inhale gently through your nose for a count of 4. Feel your lower abdomen rise first, then your chest. Hold that breath for 2 seconds, not as a strain, but as a pause, a stillness between effort and release. Then exhale slowly through your mouth for 6 counts, as if you're fogging a mirror. Feel your body soften with each exhale. Repeat this cycle for 5 minutes on day 1. On each following day, add 2 minutes to your practice until by day 7, you are breathing consciously for 15 minutes. If your mind wanders, don't fight it. Simply return to counting the breath. If emotions arise, let them move through you like waves. This is not about control. It's about release. Dr. Lira advises that this rhythm, 4-2-6, is not arbitrary. The shorter inhale gently activates the sympathetic system, while the longer exhale strengthens the parasympathetic. This balance teaches your brain safety through rhythm. Morning practice sets your emotional tone for the day. Evening practice prepares your body for rest. The more you repeat it, the faster your nervous system learns the pattern of calm. By the end of the week, you may notice something subtle but profound. Your body begins to breathe this way on its own, even during stress. That's when you know the technique has taken root. You're no longer reacting. You're rewiring. As the days pass and your breathing deepens, the transformation begins from within. Quiet but powerful, like dawn dissolving the darkness. On the surface, it might feel as though nothing extraordinary is happening, but inside your body and brain, an intricate symphony is unfolding. Each slow breath signals the nervous system to shift gears, turning off the ancient alarms that once kept you in survival mode. Your heart rate starts to stabilize, no longer jumping at every thought of danger. Blood pressure evens out. The vagus nerve hums with steady rhythm, carrying signals of safety throughout your organs. Cortisol, the stress hormone that once flooded your bloodstream, begins to fall. The mind no longer sends panicked messages to the body. Instead, the body reassures the mind, whispering, "You are safe." Deep within your brain, new neural connections are forming. The prefrontal cortex, your center for logic, empathy, and self-control, strengthens its bond with the amygdala, the fear center. This connection acts like a parent comforting a frightened child. Over time, the child quiets faster. The anxious thoughts that once spiraled endlessly start to fade before they can take hold. Emotionally, You begin to notice moments of unexpected peace. The silence between breath feels sacred. You respond to challenges with clarity instead of panic. Sleep deepens, digestion improves, and the world around you seems less threatening, more vivid. Even your voice may change, softer, steadier, more grounded. People notice the difference. Spiritually, something deeper awakens. You begin to sense that the breath isn't just oxygen. It's life itself, flowing through you, as it has through every being who has ever lived. Each exhale becomes an act of letting go, and each inhale a quiet acceptance of the present moment. The more you practice, the more you realize anxiety was never an enemy. It was a signal, a teacher guiding you back to your own center. Through the breath, that lesson finally finds its peace. When Dr. Lira's research reached the public, stories of transformation began to pour in from all over the world. Each one different, yet all carrying the same quiet revelation. That peace was no longer something to chase. It was something to breathe. One story came from Maya, a 27-year-old graphic designer who had battled panic attacks since her teenage years. Medication dulled her emotions. Therapy helped her cope, but the fear never truly left. On the third day of practicing the neuro-breath technique, something shifted. I felt the panic rising like it always did, she wrote in her journal. But instead of fighting it, I just breathed. 4, 2, 6. By the fourth cycle, my chest softened. The storm passed without swallowing me. By the end of the week, her panic attacks had stopped entirely. Then there was Daniel, a firefighter haunted by years of traumatic calls. Sleep was his enemy. Every night, his mind replayed sirens and screams. After a week of conscious breathing, his nightmares began to fade. He described it as if his body had finally remembered safety. For the first time in years, he slept through the night without waking in terror. And finally, there was May, a mother of 2, who lived under constant pressure to be perfect. Her anxiety showed up as endless overthinking. Lists, worries, unfinished tasks. But as she practiced the breathing rhythm, her inner dialogue softened. She became more patient with her children, more forgiving with herself. "It's not that life got easier," she said. "It's that I stopped living in resistance to it." These stories weren't isolated miracles. They were proof of something universal, that when the breath becomes steady, the mind follows. The transformations spread like ripples, from one person's calm presence to their families, their coworkers, their communities. Breathing together, they began to heal what medication and noise never could, the lost rhythm of being human. When anxiety fades, it doesn't just leave behind silence. It opens space for something extraordinary to grow. What begins as a 7-day practice soon becomes the foundation of an entirely new way of living. People who continue the neuro-breath protocol report more than just calm. They describe a shift in the way they see the world, as if the lens through which they once viewed life has been cleaned of fog. Focus sharpens. Tasks that once felt overwhelming become effortless because the mind is no longer scattered in 1,000 directions. You begin to make decisions with clarity rather than fear. Relationships deepen because when your nervous system is balanced, you listen differently. You speak from presence, not reaction. Anger dissolves faster. Patience grows naturally. Even creativity, that subtle spark often dimmed by stress, returns with new intensity. Artists paint again. Writers find their words, and problem solvers discover elegance where chaos once lived. But perhaps the most profound change happens on a spiritual level. When the constant noise of anxiety quiets, something ancient begins to whisper again. intuition. You start to sense the world not as a threat, but as a field of connection. Nature feels more alive, conversations feel sacred, silence becomes comfortable. The breath becomes a prayer, not of words, but of awareness. Dr. Lira often said that the breath is not just a biological function. It's the rhythm of the soul expressing itself through the body. When you master your breath, you align with life itself. The rhythm that once betrayed you with panic becomes the same rhythm that carries you into peace, purpose, and meaning. The transformation doesn't end with 7 days. That's only the doorway. Beyond it lies a life where calm isn't something you achieve. It's who you become. By the end of the 7 days, most people notice a profound change, a calmness that lingers even in the middle of chaos. But to make this transformation permanent, consistency becomes the key. Just as muscles grow through repetition, so does your nervous system learn stability through daily practice. The breath must become part of your life, woven into your mornings, your pauses, and your moments of choice. Dr. Lira often compared it to tuning an instrument. You wouldn't tune your guitar once and expect it to stay perfect forever, he said. The mind is the same. Every morning, spend a few minutes in silence, sitting upright, breathing in the 4-2-6 rhythm. Let it set the tone of your day before you touch your phone or speak a word. This short ritual signals to your brain that peace comes first. Everything else follows. During the day, when you feel pressure building, deadlines, arguments, or fatigue, take a single conscious breath. Inhale through the nose for 4 seconds, hold for 2, and exhale slowly for 6. It's astonishing how one mindful cycle can reset your entire physiology. Some practitioners even use this technique before meetings, performances, or difficult conversations, transforming anxiety into focus. At night, before sleep, return to your breath once more. Dim the lights, close your eyes, and breathe until your body softens into rest. This not only calms the mind, but programs your subconscious with safety, ensuring you wake up refreshed instead of tense. To stay consistent, keep a simple journal. Each night, write one sentence about how your breathing felt and how your day changed because of it. Over time, you'll see patterns. Moments when awareness transformed reaction into wisdom. If you skip a day, don't feel guilty. Guilt is just another form of tension. Simply return to the breath. It always forgives, always welcomes you back. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. It means remembering. Each breath is an invitation to begin again, to return to your center no matter how far you've wandered. In time, you'll realize that peace isn't something you practice for. It's the state that arises when you stop abandoning yourself. As the neurobreath technique spread across the world, Dr. Lira began every seminar with the same haunting message. This is not a relaxation trick. This is a biological key. And like all powerful keys, it demands respect. His warning was not out of fear, but out of understanding. The breath, he explained, is the most direct way to influence the brain's chemistry. Used carelessly, it can stir up emotions you've buried for years. Used wisely, it can set you free. Some participants in his studies found that as their bodies relaxed, old memories surfaced. Grief, anger, sadness long suppressed. The breath had unlocked not just calm, but truth. And truth, he reminded them, is what healing actually feels like. It's not always peaceful. Sometimes it trembles before it steadies. That's why he urged everyone to approach the practice with patience and compassion. Never force. The goal, he said, is not to control your breath, but to listen to it. It knows the way back to balance. Dr. Lira also warned against chasing results too quickly. The modern mind loves to measure. How calm do I feel? How much anxiety is left? But the nervous system doesn't heal on command. It unfolds in layers. Some days will feel serene, others turbulent. Both are signs of progress. The breath is doing what therapy, medication, and willpower often can't, reprogramming the very foundation of your emotional life. Most importantly, he reminded his students that the breath is sacred. Every inhale is a gift, he said, and every exhale a surrender. Treat it as such. When you breathe consciously, you're not manipulating the body. You're communing with it. You're rebuilding trust between the mind that panics and the body that remembers peace. That was his final warning and his deepest invitation. Do not underestimate this practice. The same breath that once fueled your anxiety now holds the power to dissolve it, but only if you give it the respect it deserves. The journey always ends where it began, with a single breath. 7 days ago, that breath might have felt tight, shallow, restless. Now, it flows differently. It carries strength, softness, and awareness. You've learned not just to inhale and exhale, but to speak to your own biology in the oldest language known to humanity. You've witnessed how something as simple as air can quiet storms that words and willpower never could. Dr. Lira's discovery is not merely a scientific breakthrough. It's a reminder of something profoundly human. We were born knowing how to breathe in harmony with life, but the noise of the world made us forget. Through this practice, you've remembered. The breath has shown you that peace is not a miracle. It's a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Now the choice is yours. Keep breathing with intention. Share this technique with someone who struggles in silence. Let your calm become contagious. When the world grows loud again, and it will, return to the rhythm. 4 in, hold for 2, 6 out. Let it be your compass, your medicine, your teacher. If this message has resonated with you, take a moment right now to subscribe, to join a community of people reclaiming their peace one breath at a time. Leave a comment, sharing your experience after 7 days of conscious breathing. Your story may be the spark that helps someone else heal. Remember, you don't need to escape your life to find peace. You just need to breathe with it.